All right, I'm Nick. So today we're gonna take this Smith& Wesson Shield Plus Carry Comp. Obviously, this is just released. We shot it a bunch on the channel. I think it's a fine pistol. We're gonna compare it to the 3.1-inch Shield Plus. This is the non-optic version, and we're gonna go, rear to front. We're gonna talk about a bunch of things. I'm gonna be thorough. The video will be a little bit longer. Okay, so go down to that comment section. Tell me what your EDC is, and we're gonna get a Hellcat. We'll have a Hellcat Pro Comp probably sometime this coming week. It should be on the way, and I want to compare it to this. Okay, so if you want to see that, go down there and tell me. Now, I'm gonna have some video overlays in here, or B-roll as you will, that show these differences. That way, you guys can see it, and we can talk about it in the comment section. Let's start with that rear sight. Now, the gun on the left, this is a Shield Plus. If you look at it, the rear sights are rolled over. They're very nice. They're sleek. You're not going to snag them when you draw the gun. I'm a big fan of that. They're very, very nice. Now, on the Carry Comp, you think they would have just used that same rear sight, but they didn't. They used a different version. It has more of a U-notch than a square, and it's much blockier. It is just blacked out with serrations, which I do like that. On the Shield Plus itself, they have 3-dot white sights from the factory. I used a Sharpie and I blacked those bad boys out. Not a terrible deal. It's something I don't like. A lot of rough edges. I'd rather it be that one. That doesn't make sense to me. Now we're going to move on forward to the optics cut. We'll go back to the Shield Plus without the optics cut. For me, a compact EDC like this, I don't feel I need a red dot. I don't feel I need a light, obviously, because there's no rail for a light on this bad boy. That's just personal preference. I don't find myself going to a lot of random dark places, and most of the time, even at night, there is a little bit of ambient light somewhere, and you can see well enough to navigate. And the first person to turn on a light gets shot. That's just the reality of a light. So that's this. This works for me. No optics, point and shoot. Now this, it's optics ready. Now we actually put an optic on it. We had some issues with that optic. Obviously not designed for this. But this optic cut is actually angled downward in the front. It's about 0.5 millimeter deeper in the front than the rear. That's not an accident. That's not a machining QC issue. That's how it's designed. This piece is injection molded, the plastic cover. It is injection molded and designed to fit that exact measurement. So, not a mistake. That's what it's designed to do. That's probably designed to work with the optic they wanted to work with. We did put a Sig Romeo X on there, compact, and I was going to put another optic on there, but it's just not for me. I wouldn't use that anyway, so the optic cut doesn't mean much to me. If you're going to put an optic on there, you may have issues with that. I do know you can send it out to certain companies and they will mill that flat for you and fix that problem. That problem shouldn't exist, though, in my mind. Now, going forward, let's stay back here in the back and talk about these slide serrations, or the whole gun. They're fancy, they look pretty, they're functional. But anytime you take metal away from the gun, the slide, the hotter it's going to get. It's just easier for it to get hot, okay? The gun did get extremely hot. We mentioned that in one of the first videos. It's a defensive pistol. Getting hot at the range isn't too big of a deal because you won't be doing that in a defensive situation, okay? So it's not going to happen. But it is something to consider if you want to go to the range and plink, maybe only have one pistol. It's going to get hot pretty quick. Are the slide serrations functional? They are. I do not by any means think these deeper grooves are better than this slide serration design on the 3.1. Very, very simple, but I like them. They work extremely well. They're very grippy. Now, on the 3.1, there are no slide serration on the front of the gun. Obviously, we have a laser in-house. We have a bunch of just Talon grip material. This is the pro stuff. So I put this little piece here so I can run the gun easier. And I like this piece of grip tape on the front of the pistol. Still fits in the holster. It is a little bit tight, but you can loosen the retention screws and it works really well. I like that far better than I like these serrations. Now, next thing. The gun is a little bit longer. That doesn't really mean much. It is about, I think it was 1 ounce heavier, being 3/4 to an inch longer. That 1 ounce wasn't really noticeable when I carried the gun. However, just holding it, especially without a magazine, the gun does feel a little front heavy. That may matter to you, whereas this gun feels extremely well balanced in the hand, and I prefer that. Going to the front sight, this has a white dot sight on there. This has a green night sight tritium. I much rather have that sight, especially for night. So I will probably end up ordering this front sight from Smith & Wesson, and I will more than likely put it on this pistol because that is the best thing I got out of this pistol. Going forward to the comp, does it work? 100%. Now we tested it right here. We did a comparison side by side, and I'll put this video in the same playlist as that video. And this is not a review. This is just my thoughts on the system, and I'm looking forward to comparing it to that Hellcat Pro comp. So the comp, it works. We videotaped it. There's 100% difference in muzzle rise, follow-up shots, definitely a plus there. Now, some folks will say, well, the comp is bad for nighttime. That's been tested. The comp doesn't actually provide that much of a fireball. I know sometimes, excuse me, I know sometimes when you're watching videos, you can see a little tiny fireball. That could be for a lot of reasons. Sometimes the frame rate on the camera does funny things, and it lets you actually see the bullet fly, or it lets you see things that maybe your eyes wouldn't pick up. So that's just a frame rate and camera issue. It's hard to dial in the audio and the video to make stuff like that appear how it would sound to your ears or how it would appear to your eyes, okay? These little porting on the sides, obviously that's just slide work. It doesn't actually do anything. In my opinion, it's just a way to get something random stuck in there, lint, who knows what, and have that running back and forth on the barrel. Is it a big deal? Probably not, but I don't see a need for that in a pistol. It just looks fancy. It doesn't add anything to the pistol. Maybe it lightens it up a little bit, but it doesn't add anything. Now, with that comp, when you comp that, you also delete the rifling of the barrel. So the barrels on the gun are pretty close to the same size. This is 3.1. I think when I measured, this one was about 3.5 inches long for the barrel. So you're not getting or losing any major velocity in this setup. So I don't think there's a measurable difference with expansion or anything like that. Now, someone will say every half an inch or inch matters. I agree. I just don't know if it's noticeable from 7 yards. But I'm not a professional. I'm just a random dude, and that's just an opinion. Now, I have these targets out back. I have 10 rounds in each of those magazines. I'm going to do what we've done with the ammo test. I'm going to shoot the top left target on each target with that respectable gun. So we'll shoot the shield comp first on the left side, and then we will shoot the 3.1 inch shield plus on the right side, and we will see accuracy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe the shield comp absolutely dominates this. And in my mind, I have so much faith in this that I don't want to leave it. Maybe this is a better pistol. Maybe the results will show right here, and that's fine. At the end of the day, I'm still going to carry this pistol because of everything I listed about it. I will more than likely put that green dot on the front, though, because it makes a big difference in my opinion, okay? So if you're still watching, tell me your thoughts, okay? Look, down low in those comments section, it's there to express your thoughts, your opinions. I'm just a random dude. My thoughts and opinions are, one thought, one thought process. Everybody has a different reasoning, light, red dot, and so on. You're not going to hurt my feelings, all right? So we're going to shoot the comp first. We're going to do it from right here on this ant pile, which is 7 yards. And we'll check the accuracy. We'll run the rest of the rounds into the hostage, ideally, which would be his right shoulder left to us. And we'll take pictures afterwards, and we'll talk about the results. So we'll start off first 3 rounds or so. We'll go top left to that top left target. That was terrible. We're going to keep going because that was terrible. All right, the first shot of the day was real bad. The next 4 are all touching, just a little bit low right. I will tell you, and I should have told you, I have a sight pusher tool, obviously, and I loosened this hex key and I put the sight pusher tool on here to move this back over a little bit to the left because it's not actually perfectly in the middle from the factory. and I could not move it. I could not move it, so I gave up because I thought it was a little bit off. I thought maybe it was my finger. I took my time and made sure that it wasn't my finger, and I think we shoot a little bit to the right because of this location. Not a big deal, but it's not a precision instrument. Now we're going to run the rest of the rounds into the hostage target, obviously trying not to hit the hostage. All right, here we go. I shot the hostage. All right, so you'll see that. We're going to shoot another 10 through this pistol into there. I shot the hostage on the first shot, just barely, but the hostage has been wounded, okay? Hostage is dead. Okay, the rest of the shots I just ran center chest of the hostage. Obviously, it's a super small target. The gun ran without issues, though. The group is not terrible. If you're going slow, you could definitely get all your hits on the actual person who is holding the person hostage. But we're just here for a quick semi-experiment. And the gun runs without any issues, though, right? The shooting, not very good. That is what it is. I am never going to pull the trigger in a situation like this, period. Especially with this little tiny gun like this, I would not do it. So we're going to repeat that same situation. We're going to go to the right target. We're going to go top left, and we'll probably kill the hostage again in reality. All right, it's safe to assume that I suck and all my shots go low right. That is what it is. I am not a professional, never claimed to be. All right, so where are we at now? We're going to shoot the hostage target again. Ideally, we hit the person holding the hostage. We wounded the hostage again. All right, so that first group is pretty much the same as our first 5 shots on target with the shield comp. Now we're just going to run them as fast as we can pretty much into the center of that target, which means we're going to kill the hostage. Okay, so we ran those last 10 rounds faster than we ran the shield comp rounds. The guns run with no issues, okay? So we're splitting teeth at this point with what we think is best. Now, I'll take a picture of that. Obviously, I did end up killing the hostage on both of those. And you can see clearly that I went slower with the shield comp by watching the video. And the shots on the left, better group. Those last 10 I sent in there pretty good, and everybody's dead. Now, those are just random targets I had in the house, and we have 10 more rounds left here on this table. It's not going to matter which pistol you get. They're all fine pistols. They run great, but I don't see a reason to go out and upgrade. I just don't think that it's worth going to upgrade. Is it a great shooting pistol in my opinion? Yeah, it shoots wonderful. Is it subjectively flatter than this? 100%. This being the 3.1 inch gun. But if you already have a holster that fits this, and the holster you have is not compatible with this, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't upgrade. I really prefer those sights. Obviously, I carried this for several days, and I think I've carried it 5 or 6 days last week all day. And that's actually how I realized that this rear sight was not as nice as that rear sight. It's probably because my love handles, okay? Too many carbs. But that's how I realized that. So if you're still watching, we're going to run these last 10 rounds through here. This is one of the reasons I like it. That's a 15-round mag. That is a 13-round mag. They make a 10-round magazine we have in the house. But look, I like this. I'm faithful to it. It works well. I like this grip tape being here. You can rack the gun very easy. Now let's run these. Let's shoot the bad guy in the head on the right target. See how we do if we actually go slow. That's the magazine with the X's. It does not lock back in this gun, which is weird because it locks back in that gun with no issues. So now let's take a picture of that. Obviously, if you go slow with that gun and you have a quality trigger pull, you have no problem putting all of your shots into that guy's face. So these are just things to consider if you're still watching. I wanted to go slow. I wanted to be thorough. I don't think it matters at the end of the day. I do think that every company makes a quality pistol. I do think that quality assurance could be better for everybody across the board. If you have them and they both run, neither of these guns have been cleaned in like 400 or 500 rounds, okay? And they're running just fine. They haven't been lubed, nothing. They're doing okay without any kind of issues. So if you are still watching, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking time to watch. If you have questions, drop them down there in the comment section.